She said, "This bracelet's from a cousin." Just like that. Quick, casual, almost dismissive. Like the subject didn't matter. I remember the way she slid the little box back into the drawer, not even letting me hold it for more than a second. Her smile just a touch too stiff, her tone just a little too rehearsed, and I wanted to believe her. I really did. I wanted to nod, kiss her on the forehead, and accept that some cousin I barely remembered had sent her a gift. But something about the way she said it, it stuck to me like a splinter. That night, after she fell asleep, I found myself staring at the ceiling with my fists clenched tight on the sheets. You ever get that feeling in your gut? That cold, crawling instinct that tells you what you're being fed isn't the truth? That's what it was. Her words replayed in my mind like an echo I couldn't silence. "This bracelet's from a cousin." So the next morning when she left for work, I went to the drawer. I opened it slowly, carefully, like the truth might jump out at me if I wasn't ready. The box was small, elegant, too elegant for something sent from a cousin. The kind of box you see in jewelry stores when a man's hand trembles as he hands over his credit card. My throat tightened. I lifted the lid, and there it was, the bracelet, delicate, silver, shimmering in a way that made the morning light cut into me like a blade. But it wasn't the bracelet that broke me. It was the note beneath it, folded once, tucked under like a secret begging to be uncovered. My hands shook as I opened it. The handwriting was bold, certain. The words, "Forever yours. I swear to you." The air left the room, my chest hollowed out. I sat there staring at those two words over and over, trying to process what they meant. A cousin doesn't write "forever yours." A cousin doesn't buy a bracelet that costs more than our rent. A cousin doesn't leave a note tucked in like a promise. That was the moment. The moment the floor opened beneath me and I realized the woman lying in my bed, the woman I'd promised forever to, had already given her forever to someone else. I put the note back, tucked the bracelet into the box, slid the drawer shut, and sat on the edge of the bed, until my vision blurred. I wanted to confront her right then, call her, demand answers, but something in me, something colder, sharper, told me not. If I confronted her too soon, she'd cry, she'd twist, she'd find some way to make me doubt what I was holding in my own hands. No, I couldn't just accuse her. I needed proof. I needed everything. So I started watching. The first thing I noticed was her phone. She used to leave it lying around face up on the table, forgotten in the kitchen. Now it was always with her, always face down, always locked. At first I thought maybe it was stress, maybe she was just protecting her privacy. But then I remembered the bracelet, the note, and I knew her excuses grew bolder. "I have to work late. The girls want a night out. My cousin is visiting, I might stay with her." Every time her tone was breezy, her smile was practiced, and every time my chest tightened. One night she said she was meeting her cousin for dinner. The same cousin, I guessed, who had allegedly sent her that bracelet. I kissed her goodbye, smiled, told her to have fun. Then I waited 15 minutes, grabbed my keys, and followed. She didn't go to her cousin's. She didn't go to any restaurant near where her cousin lived. She drove across town, down into the city, to a hotel with golden lights and tinted windows. I parked across the street, my heart pounding so hard it shook the steering wheel. I watched her step out of her car, smoothing her dress, her lips painted with the shade she only wore on special nights. And then I saw him, tall, confident, the kind of man who didn't need to check his reflection because he already knew what he looked like. He was waiting by the entrance, the way her face lit up when she saw him. It was the kind of smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. She walked straight into his arms, and he kissed her like he owned her. I couldn't breathe. My whole body froze, trapped between rage and grief. I wanted to storm across the street, drag her away, demand answers, scream until my throat bled. But instead I sat there, hidden in the shadows of my car, watching them disappear inside. My hands shook so violently on the wheel, I thought I might snap it in half. I stayed there for hours, long enough to see them come back out, laughing, her hand on his chest, his arm wrapped around her waist. They looked like lovers. They looked like forever. And I realized that bracelet, that note, it wasn't just a gift. It was a declaration. She had already chosen him. When she came home later that night, her hair tousled, her perfume stronger, she smiled at me like nothing had happened. "It was so nice catching up with my cousin," she said. I smiled back, I even asked, "How's she doing?" She answered without missing a beat. And that was when I knew. She wasn't just lying. She had built an entire world of lies, and she thought I was too blind to see it. But I wasn't blind anymore. From that night forward, I started keeping records. Screenshots of her location, when she said she was with family, photos of her car in that hotel parking lot. Receipts I pulled from the trash. It felt dirty, it felt sick, but every time I doubted myself, I remembered the note, "Forever yours." That wasn't paranoia. That was proof. The hardest part was pretending, smiling at her over dinner, holding her hand at family gatherings, kissing her cheek when friends were around, all while I carried the weight of the truth in my pocket. She thought she was winning. She thought she was set, but really she was digging her own grave, and I was just waiting for the right moment to bury her lies in front of everyone. The moment came sooner than I expected. Her birthday was approaching, and her parents wanted to throw a big dinner. Family, friends, co-workers, all of them would be there. She begged me to come, said it would mean the world to her if we celebrated together. I agreed. I told her I couldn't wait, and inside I knew that would be the night. That would be the night I took the bracelet out of the box, unfolded the note, and showed everyone what she thought she had hidden. That would be the night she learned what forever really meant. And the best part, she'd never see it coming. When the night of her birthday dinner finally came, I felt a calm I hadn't felt in months. It wasn't peace. It was the sharp, steady calm of a man walking into battle, knowing he's already won. I'd spent weeks collecting evidence, photos of her slipping into hotels with him, screenshots of her location lighting up in places she swore she'd never been, receipts pulled from her purse, bills she didn't think I'd notice, and of course the crown jewel, the bracelet box, with that note tucked inside, "Forever yours." The note she thought would never be seen again. I slipped the envelope of evidence into my jacket pocket. Before we left the house, she came downstairs in a new dress, radiant, smiling, her eyes sparkling the way they used to for me, but now only seemed to shine when she was heading toward him. She kissed my cheek, laced her fingers through mine and said, "Ready?" I smiled back. More than ready. Her parents' house was warm, alive with voices and laughter. The dining room table stretched long, filled with cousins, aunts, uncles, friends. Everyone toasted to her, complimented her, told me how lucky I was to have her. I played the part. I shook hands. I laughed. I kept my arm around her waist like I was proud to be there. And she glowed under the attention, convinced she was untouchable, convinced her lies were airtight. Dinner stretched on. Glasses clinked. Wine flowed. Her father stood and raised a toast to his daughter, his pride in her life, her marriage, her beautiful partnership. The irony nearly choked me. She sat there smiling, eyes darting around the room, occasionally landing on me with a look that said, "Play along." And I did, until it was my turn. When the clinking died down and people were still in that happy buzz, I stood. The scrape of my chair against the floor silenced the table. Dozens of eyes turned to me. She looked up, her smile faltering just slightly, her hand tightening around her glass. "You don't have to," she whispered. But I did. "I'd like to say a few words," I began, my voice steady, carrying across the room. "Tonight, we're here to celebrate her. The woman I married, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone. For years, I believed in us. I believed in trust, in love, in the promises we made." People smiled, nodded. Her mother dabbed her eyes, already emotional. My wife forced a smile, but her knuckles went white against her glass. But sometimes I continued, pulling the envelope from my jacket. "What you believe in isn't what's real. Sometimes the person sitting across from you is living another life, a life they've hidden, a life they think you'll never discover." The room grew still. I opened the envelope, pulled out the bracelet box, and set it on the table. Gasps echoed as I lifted the lid, the silver glinting under the chandelier. Then I unfolded the note, held it up, and read aloud, "Forever yours." Her face drained of color. "Stop," she hissed, her voice sharp and broken. "Not here." I laid the note beside the bracelet. "She told me this was from a cousin," I said, my tone cutting through the silence. "But cousins don't write 'Forever yours.' Cousins don't take you to hotels at midnight. Cousins don't leave their perfume on you when you crawl into bed with your husband." Murmurs erupted. Her father's face turned red. Her mother sobbed. Cousins stared in shock. She stood, trembling, tears spilling down her cheeks. It's not what it looks like. Please, please. You don't understand. I pulled out the photos next. Her and him, walking into hotels. Her car in the parking lot. Her laughing across the table at him, their hands almost touching. With each photo I laid down, the whispers grew louder, the disbelief sharper. Every time she told me she was with family, I said, my voice steady, she was here, with him. Every late night, every excuse, every lie, it all led here. She collapsed back into her chair, shaking her head, sobbing. Please, not like this. Please don't do this to me. I gathered the photos back into the envelope, tucked it away, and looked her in the eye. I didn't do this to you. You did this to yourself. And I walked out. The silence shattered behind me, replaced by shouts, cries, her voice calling my name, begging me to come back. I didn't. I walked into the night, the cold air biting at my face, the envelope pressing against my chest like armor. She chased me outside, mascara streaking, her voice raw. Please, please, don't leave me like this. We can fix it. I'll end it with him. I swear, I'll do anything. She grabbed my arm, clung to me like a drowning woman. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time in years, I didn't see my wife. I saw a stranger who had toasted another man on my birthday, who had worn his bracelet, who had whispered lies into my ear while giving herself to him. You ended it the moment you put that bracelet on, I said quietly. Then I pulled free and left her standing there, broken in the driveway. The fallout was chaos. She called non-stop, her messages swinging from fury to desperation. 1 minute it was, you humiliated me, you bastard. The next it was, please, I love you, please come home. I ignored them all. Her family turned against her. Her father called me days later, voice heavy with shame, apologizing for her actions, telling me I deserved better. Her mother tried to defend her at first, but even she couldn't argue with the evidence. And him, the man who was forever hers, he disappeared, quit his job, wiped his socials, vanished from her life. The second the truth came out, she had gambled everything. Our marriage, her family, her reputation for a man who ran the moment things got real. And me. I walked out of the wreckage scarred, but free. Even now, months later, I still hear her voice sometimes. This bracelet's from a cousin, and I remember opening that box, unfolding that note, and watching the world I thought I knew crumble in my hands. But then I remember standing at that dinner table, laying it all out, and walking away. And I know I made the right choice, because she thought the bracelet was a secret. She thought forever yours was a promise meant for someone else. But in the end it was a confession, and it gave me everything I needed to take my life back. Forever wasn't hers to give. Forever is mine now.